Hey there and welcome. My name is Carlos Berlit, and in this video we are talking about the classic villain, the final boss. And for many people they call the classic villain, this final boss, the BBG, for big bad guy or big bad gal, but you have a myriad of ways to refer to that final villain, and we are going to use them interchangeably during this video. And to be perfectly clear with you, I talked about in a previous video how you do not need to have a final boss, but you want to use one, and there is nothing wrong with that. So how do you want to proceed? Because I say that there is no absolute right way to play the game. There are some absolute wrong ways to play the game, but they are more related to how you are absolutely wrong in being a human or a people in a society. But let's get to the subject at hand. And the typical bad guy, usually they try to make motivations that seek to be empathetic. Probably everyone by now already heard about the classic, the villain is their hero in their own story. And this is a classic trope, as well as some others that define it as someone wants something badly and is having difficulty getting it. And the someone is the villain, and the difficulty is the PCs in our case, or the heroes in some stories. And I mean, these ideas are classic ideas because they work. However, they are not written in stone. You can try to play with them. You can have a BBG that is bad, with evil motivations, if you are playing in a world of absolutes, with extraplanar beings of pure evil. It can be that their motivation is clearly to just destroy the world as it is known, or impose a totalitarian regime that fits their image. I mean, it can be like that, because they are beings of ultimate evil. However, as a disclaimer, I will strongly advise you to avoid tropes that involve dehumanizing any kind of sentient beings. Like, presuming that they all behave as one, or they don't have soul, and so on, because this is a complete different kind of worms and wrong in so many levels. But go ahead with this kind of idea if you are playing with absolute devils and demons, or even fallen angels, as they are not sentient beings in the way that they have the free will. So as long that you try to not connect them with any kind of earthly beings. Okay? We are right with that. Enough with that, and go into the practical side. The practical side, the first thing is, they need to have a clear motivation. It can be an understandable and relatable one, like Mr. Freeze from Batman, Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender during some time, and even Gabriel from the Constantine movie. Or it can be just a complete antagonistic one, as Melkor, Sauron, both from Tolkien, or a Sararak from the D&D realm. But I'm not really very good in finding good absolute evil examples, because they ultimately do not attract me that much. So probably you are much better at that than myself. So go on and try to find your motivations. And if they have their motivation clear, it will make it much more easier for you to try to tie their goal to the characters, or to tie their goals to why the characters want to oppose them. And apart from their motivation, because only motivation is not enough, they have to be means to an end. They have to be able to try and achieve that. So otherwise they wouldn't be that much of a threat, right? If they only have a motivation but no means, they cannot really try to do anything. So consider, how did they get their power? It does not need to be a combat power. It can be political, or influence, or charisma, or economical power, which both can bring a kind of military power as well. But they still can use their economical and political power to just keep in the shadows and not really be there physically as being the big bad one that you need to fight precisely on them. Even Not powerful bosses can give you a final boss fight, but usually it's because they are somehow controlling or hiring some bigger set of people and creatures, if you will. Like, you can use that as well. Even if they are not powerful themselves, they have other ways to exceed this power in a combat way. Or even controlling an organization, that is a completely different one. But after getting their motivation and a means to an end, how do we make them believable? So to not break the suspension of disbelief. Because usually if we make them not believable, it's much harder to the players to continue in the game and to continue having the mind inside the game and thinking like their characters would. So I urge you to give them some minor details. You need to flesh them out. And these minor details, they can be something that will influence the plot or not. They can only be some things that tie us or tie this character as a creature. Because we all know that we have some major characteristics and you have some minor ones. And most times than not, the minor ones is what make easier for us to believe in that character in a particular story. And by all means, if you do not want to break suspension of disbelief, don't make your villains or your final boss fault-proof. Because if you do, it's guaranteed that they will break the suspension of disbelief. Like, they can be very good, they can be a step ahead almost always, but do not make that absolute. Because it will just frustrate the players, and apart from frustrating them, it's not that believable, even if they are a genius or a mastermind like Moriarty. And giving you an extra one, leave clues of all these details to your players, to your PCs. Because this is why fleshing out and having minor characteristics is important, because sometimes you can just leave clues from these minor characteristics, and sometimes you will really leave clues from the big part. The players do not absolutely need to get the clues. They can get some of them, they can get all of them, they can get none of them. And sometimes they will get a clue, but they will not figure out what that clue entails or means. So this is okay. You still made your job, your work, your effort of providing them to the story and to the players. So this is the video. If you like the video, like the video, share, subscribe, you know how internet works, and hopefully by now you have a better idea of how to create a villain or a final boss for your games. And let me know what you thought about it, if you agree, if you do not agree. Probably this is not exhaustive, and actually absolutely it's not exhaustive, but it's some ideas that can help you flesh it out. So, see ya! I mean, not always the final boss will be like a Balrog that is a being of pure evil and strength.